What's going on, everybody? We are back with episode number 174 of the Club and Sub podcast. Tonight, we're chatting a very big card this weekend, UFC 300, the end of perhaps one era, the Jim Miller era, and perhaps the start of a new era in the UFC. We'll see. We have a special guest here tonight. We got our boy, MMAGigachad, in the house. Chad, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Apologies if they see me eating a little bit. I had to eat dinner late, but
I think they'll live.
Yeah.
That's what she said. But yeah, I think we can skip breaking down last week's card. Needless to say, Argetta and Chris Curtis were my two biggest bets. I don't really want to talk about either of those fights, so we'll just move on to the good stuff here. UFC 300. Big show. Just about every fight on this card is pay-per-view worthy. I'm excited to talk about it. It's an interesting card. I don't have too many bets yet, but I'm sure I'll find my way into making a bunch. As always, guys, drop a like, subscribe, help us out here. We'd really appreciate it. And let's get into it. First fight of the night. Deiveson Figueiredo making his second fight at bantamweight. His current price is minus 305, and he's taken on a former bantamweight champion in Cody Garbrandt. Come back on him is plus 255. What do you think here, Chad?
They forced my hand. It is what it is. I had to play Cody. So I played Cody, and I played decision plus 600 small as well. Cody is going to win or compete on minutes here until he dies. And that's about it. Like, maybe he gets dropped twice and loses a decision. Maybe he gets choked out. Maybe he gets knocked out. But minutes wise, it's very competitive, and you're giving big plus money on a guy that I think is going to win minutes. So I'll let Cody disappoint me one more time by getting finished. But until then, let's ride.
Yeah, I'm going to end up getting there myself as well. Everybody on every show this week is going to talk about the durability gap here. I mean, we all know what it is. I almost feel like at this point, it's either appropriately priced or overpriced. I tend to lean towards the latter. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look, I thought Fig looked pretty bad against Rob Font. I obviously bet Font in that spot. It just turns out that the Adrian Yanez fight was a complete mirage, and Rob Font's chin is really just gone to dust at this point in his career. But he was winning most of the exchanges. It's just he would land a bunch of punches, eat a jab, and do the stanky leg all over the octagon. I thought Fig looked hittable. I thought he looked slow at bantamweight. And Cody, honestly, it's kind of funny because maybe you could argue the style he's employed his last two fights is more negative for minute winning, but it's actually been a lot more intelligent for not getting himself into a car crash that gets him killed. And he's the better boxer. He's got faster hands. He's got commensurate power. He's probably the better wrestler of the two. Yeah, I'm with you, Chad. I kind of think it's going to be a low volume staring contest. And if it's going to be that, I'll just take the more technical guy at plus 250. But I'm hoping it gets wider. Mushroom, it was awesome seeing you in AC as well.
I think there will be some buyback now. I think Cody will probably hover around plus 230, plus 240, but I doubt he goes higher than plus 260. I'd be shocked.
You have to figure that I figure it's going to be a pretty high volume of event for sports books. I'd imagine the parlay boys coming hard on Fig on the chin narrative, but we'll see. Lags, what do you think? Are you with us on the riding the Cody train?
I am passing, but I understand the bets because I feel like it is only Cody or pass because like Chad said, it's minute to minute before Cody dies, it's probably going to be competitive. So that's why I don't really hate the shot, but I can't get there because of the obvious chin concerns.
All right.
So
moving on. My only bet of the night here. We got Bobby Green taking on Jim A10 Miller. Current price Bobby Green minus 183. Comeback on Miller plus 158. I got to be honest. I know Bobby Green got knocked out 4.5 months ago. I do get that, but I think the line is absolutely nutty to me. I feel like had that fight not happened, I would make Green minus 300 to minus 350 here. With it happening, it's you have to penalize him somewhat, but I still feel like he's almost certainly 7 out of 10. I shouldn't say almost certainly, but that's kind of how I feel. I mean, you look at Jim Miller's run recently, and he's 5-1 in his last 6 fights. Eric Gonzalez, Nick Moda, Donald Cerrone in his retirement fight, in a fight that was basically 50-50 till the guillotine, lost to Alex Fernandez, that aged like shit. Jesse Butler, Gabe Benitez, and like on the other side, you got like Bobby Green is like literally been fighting the best fighters in the world, including the champion in his last 10 fights here. Yeah, he got knocked out 4 months ago, but the stats back it up. He's going to outstrike Miller here over an extended sample here. He's way faster. He's way sharper. He's got way better defense. He's fought better guys. And honestly, if he gets on top of Miller here, he's going to hold him down. Miller's just going to try to throw up arm bars. Like, it's funny because it feels like the obvious narrative here is just Miller, UFC 100, 200, 300. But, like, no one wanted to bet Jim Miller when he was plus 250 to Roosevelt Roberts, except me. I was that guy, you know, but now they want to bet him at plus 150 against Bobby Green. Like, what? I just don't really get it. You have to really think he is – his chin just turned to dust. But the 3 guys to knock Bobby out are Jalen Turner, Drew Dober, and Dustin Poirier. Like, I was having a chat with one of our boys in a group chat, and he was like, well, I mean, their competition isn't that different. It's like, look, go put Jalen Turner in there with Jim Miller and tell me what happens. Like please, like they do that and tell me what happens. I just think Bobby's a way better fighter at this point in their career. I mean, Jim Miller was taking L's to Joe Selecki and Vince Pichel 3 years ago. He's 40 now. I'm very sure he's not improving. So, yeah, I'm on Bobby Big here. I think he should be in like the minus 230, 240 range. What do you think, Legs?
I think, to me, honestly, Jim's pretty much just got power standing. Like, that's like, even though he is getting much older, like the power's still there, obviously, and got good leg kicks for sure. But yeah, Bobby, volume, better cardio. I think, again, this should be Bobby all day, really, down the stretch.
What do you think, Chad?
Don't want to rain on the Bobby parade, but I listen. Plus 150 on Miller is not really that enticing. I do like Miller decision numbers. I don't think Bobby is getting him out of there. Jim is so fucking tough, right? Maybe Bobby's jabbing at him and whatnot, but you know what's taking him out? Dan Hooker knee from hell and a head kick. So I do see this going to a decision, and you have Bobby Green, who is very prone to fighting like a moron, very prone to not really separating, and you know, I could see Jim making it competitive on minutes, throwing out his combo into the leg kick, and you know, just sticking around to a decision. Yeah, and you're getting plus 500 for a guy that I think competes at least to a fight that I think goes the distance. So I have to bet that. But yeah, I mean, I think Bobby wins the majority of the time, but that line's just too wide for me.
All right, fair enough. Jim Miller, if he does, I mean, I'll be upset if he wins. But I love Jim Miller, Jersey strong, super cool dude. I met him once at a Quick Check when I was going golfing. Awesome guy. So wouldn't be hurt, but hurt if you won. Moving on though, interesting fight. We got a chick fight here. We got Jessica Andrade taking on Marina Rodriguez. Current price Andrade minus 137. Comeback on Rodriguez plus 117. What are your thoughts here, Lags?
Super interesting fight. I think at the end of the day, I'm not trusting Andrade to wrestle because I think that's the obvious path here. But I just don't trust her to employ that game plan, really. I feel like, I mean, outside of Marina finishing Michelle in her last fight, she's going to close decisions if she's not getting girls out of there, and which I don't think she's getting Andrade out of there. So, yeah.
What do you think, Chad?
Sorry, I'm reading these comments.
Also, who's hotter, Marina Rodriguez or Jessica Andrade?
Marina.
I got to see Marina naked because I've seen Andrade naked. I don't want to jump the gun. But yeah, it's tough to trust Andrade at this point in her career. She just takes fights. You know, she was speedrunning her contract and just took a bunch of fights and bad matchups and, you know, kind of performed like shit. I do think skill-wise, she should be favorite, maybe minus, if I trust her, maybe like minus 150. So it is tempting to bet her, but I tend to stay away from these chick fights, and I don't really bet women favorites anymore. So what I did was I bet Andrade submission at plus 800. I just think if she's fighting optimally, she should be grappling, in which case that submission line, should look a lot better than plus 800. So I'll take the stab on that small and stay away from investing too much money on the fight.
Yeah, I mean, staying away from women favorites, I can't disagree with. I told myself the same last year after the Kanaka Murata fight, but like invariably, I eventually find myself betting women favorites again in the future. It's like heroin; like at some point, you're going to go back. Or alcoholism or gambling. It's just like an addiction. Like if we're betting MMA, I will find myself onto betting a women's favorite. I haven't bet this one though, but I actually am thinking about betting Andrade. But like to what both of you guys said, it's like the thing is, the path for her to be minus 300 is there, and it's pretty obvious. It's there for her to go hit takedowns, and in a lot of her recent fights, she hasn't had a lot of reason to wrestle. So it's like the upside is all on the Andrade side. You could never like bet Marina here, even though I think she's the better striker. On top of which, I was talking to Pepe about it this week, and he pointed it out, and I don't think he was wrong. Like Marina cucked pretty hard against Amanda Lemos under like real physicality, and like she hasn't really dealt with real physicality other than the Lemos fight. I was pretty unimpressed with like how wilty she was in that fight, and like Andrade, she's like a wild boar. Like you have to put her down like all the way out, like to beat her. Like she's not like Marina's not going to be able to hurt her and get her to go away. She's going to keep coming forward, even if she's like seeing like six triple vision, So yeah, like I do think, the takedown upside's on the Andrade side, the grappling upside. She's more experienced. She's better wins. She's 4 years younger. But I'm also still a little spooked by just like I made a last second bet on Andrade against Yan Xiaonan last year in Newark because like I had the same inner monologue where I was like, it's so easy as long as she doesn't get chinned quickly. This is like such an easy path to victory. And like sure enough, and she's gotten like she got hurt by Tisha Torres, she got hurt by JJ, she gets hurt like all the time. So I don't know. I'm a bit nervous that I bet her thinking she's going to come out and wrestle, and instead she just like bombs forward like she's fighting Lauren Murphy and just eats a knee and gets put out. But I do think the line should be a bit wider. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I already broke it down.
Oh, whoops.
It's okay. But on top of that too, the last thing I'll add though, like the physicality difference is massive. So if she even attempts to go for the grappling, like the strength disparity is massive.
Yeah. I agree. Speaking of strength disparity here, we got a good one coming up here. Jalen Turner, he's taking on Renato Moicano. Current price on Turner, minus 233. Comeback on Moicano, plus 198. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah, I think Moicano dies. I get it. Turner is, minus 200 plus. But there, like, if you look at Moicano against Dober, and I bet Dober there, and Dober by KO. He was hurt by pretty much every punch that landed on him. He won the fight solely because Dober went to throw him in round 3 using the same throw he did earlier and ended up on bottom. And Dober didn't really have the tools to keep him at range the way that Turner does. Like, Turner can hit him from so far away, and Moicano's going to have to get inside. As you know, he favors body lock takedowns. He's not really shooting like Garbrandt and grabbing an ankle, and working a single. So for him to close that distance, he's going to have to go through hell. And I just don't think he has the chin for it. I know it's like the square angle, but I think he's going to get hit. He's going to get hurt within probably a minute of this fight starting. And I can see him trying to shoot in desperately and, getting pounded out. Or Turner using those long-ass arms and snatching up his neck when he's really hurt. So I think Turner finishes probably round 1. Could be round 2, but I just think square side, Turner 1-2, Turner ITD. Yeah, I see no reason. I get that if he ends up on bottom, it's going to look bad, but it's going to be hard for Moicano to get it there.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about the 1-2 too, because it's like plus 125, plus 400 doesn't sound great, but it's if he's actually 70% or more, he's definitely KOing Moicano like in the first 2 rounds, like a 55% clip, right? Like that, I feel like that's got to be like a decent value to like tie those together. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I just if Moicano shot at his legs, I'd be a bit more bullish here, but all of his wrestling is upper body, and Turner is just like, he's so physically strong. He does a good job with the whizzer. He does a good job pummeling. I feel like while he's fresh, it's going to be just very, very difficult for Hinata to get him down.
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if Hinata somehow shows up, rocks up with an iron jaw, and like gets his head bonked around for 8 minutes, and Turner starts to slow, I could see him taking over on the back end, even if they're both tired. But like, yeah, I mean, Chad mentioned it. Dober literally hurt him with everything he threw. Moicano's got no standing defense, and now he's giving up a ton of height and a ton of reach to a mastodon like Turner, who's just going to fire like pistons down the pipe accurately over and over. Like Chad said, it feels like just a square, fundamental analysis of the fight, but it feels accurate. Like I don't. It's very. Unless Moicano outperforms my expectations grappling, I just think Turner's knocking him out early here at a very, very high clip. What do you think, Lex?
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to hash on that too. I think Moicano's grappling success is likely predicated in the back half of the fight, him surviving that first half, and I have the under 2.5 rounds parlayed at minus 280.
All right. Yep. We move on here. Sadiq Yusuff taking on Diego Lopez. Lopez, obviously, the current bell of the ball. Current price, Lopez minus 135. The comeback on Yusuff plus 115. I'm probably sickeningly going to get myself to a Yusuff bet by fight night here. Diego Lopez is the kind of guy that I will lose money on in perpetuity because I think he's, and we'll talk about someone else like that in a couple fights, but I think he's not very good. But I just consistently underrate that even though his process sucks, he's a high-octane finisher. But with that said, his process sucks. He's got no standing defense. He's not a great wrestler. Even in the jiu-jitsu, he's obviously way better at jiu-jitsu than Sadiq, but Sadiq's a Lloyd Irvin guy. Like, he's been with that camp since he was like 15. Like, the kid can grapple. I guess he's not even a kid anymore, but he can grapple. He's very physically strong. He's tough to take down. On the feet, he's a much better boxer. He's a better leg kicker. He's probably got better cardio, and he probably hits as hard, if not harder. The obvious concern is Sadiq has a way of finding catastrophe and finding big moments happen to him, and Diego Lopez is a guy who creates big moments. So it's like I'm expecting any Yusuff win to have at least 1 or 2 really hairy moments because that's just how Sadiq Yusuff fights go. But at the end of the day, he's fought the much better competition. He's got much better wins than Lopez does. He's got way more UFC experience. I think he's the better fighter. So it's like, even though I know how this ends before I even place the bet, I'm going to probably place the bet. What do you think, Lex?
I am not going to place the bet, to be honest with you, but I get the points. I do. But to me, Lopez, the tenacity on the feet, I think he's a little bit to me, Yusuff's very low volume on the feet. Doesn't really go for it a ton. He definitely the better boxer, harder hitter, I think, of the two. But yeah, I think Lopez probably does find a finish here at some point.
What do you think, Chad?
Yeah, I got to pass. I have a similar thing as you do, where Lopez is going to be a guy that's going to cost me a lot of money. So I'm trying to avoid that here. I think Sadiq is better, overall. And I mean, I would not be surprised to see him win at all. It's just he's kind of fragile, and I don't think he's safe anywhere here. Like, he can get hurt standing. If he does get taken down, not that Lopez's wrestling is good, I think that he's in big trouble on the mat, and he'll give up his back to get up. So, yeah, I mean, if I miss the Lopez fade here, so be it. I lost big time on Sabatini against him, so I'm not in the rush.
How about Tucker? Did you take Tucker too, or no?
No. Tucker, I actually was on the other side.
I took both.
Yeah. So that one didn't hurt me as much, but I was fairly large on Sabatini, so that hurt plenty. But yeah, Sadiq's not really a guy I like or trust, so I'm happy to pass. Yeah, I'm fine having nothing to do with the fight.
I just feel pot committed here. After you go black 5 rolls in a row, like you have to go it again if it's been 5 straight reds, right? Like,
yeah.
Moving on though. Oh God, what a fight here! Holly Holm, Kayla Harrison for the sexiest woman in the UFC belt, right, Chad?
Yeah.
Them and Miranda Maverick. Current price, Kayla Harrison, minus 432. Comeback on Holly Holm, plus 332. What do you think here, Legs?
I was coming into tape thinking I was probably going to play the goes the distance because I think Harrison was going to have a ton of control time here. But also in thinking that, her having a ton of control time probably means she is likely to finish Holm on the mat. And I just don't really want to be sweating it over with that or a GTD with that ticket. So, or with that situation. So, yeah, it's an easy pass.
Chad?
I was going to stay away initially, but I did bet Holly Holm decision plus 600. I love my wide decision lines. I think that, unless Holm is washed, Kayla's grappling is not that good. And, like, that sounds bad, but, like, she struggled with worse women than Holly Holm. And on the feet, Holly Holm, it's probably a shit fest, a boring ass fight. Some clinch stuff, stalling, Holly Holm throwing some kicks and making noises. And if, I do see this going the distance unless Kayla gets into a dominant position and, crucifix and throws elbows. But I see it going the distance, and it's just my thing. Like plus 600 on someone that I think competes unless she's taken down and fucked up the whole fight. So it's just a system play for me at that point.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably bet goes the distance. I don't know if I'll get there on Holm, but like I kind of agree with you about like Kayla's grappling. It's like how much do you really put into her beating up 155-pound housewives for the last 5 years? Like I don't put a whole lot into it, and like we've seen these judo women just struggle badly when they get to the UFC. Like 5 years ago, I feel like this fight would have looked a lot like the Rousey fight where Holm just danced on the outside and just touched her up. I am bigly concerned about the Myra fight, though. Even though Holly won the first round, I felt like she looked slower and just a lot less athletic in that fight than she had previously. I lost a ton of cash on that fight, too, which was not fun. But yeah, I mean, I can see the path for Holm winning the fight. I'm just like, this feels like the UFC brought Kayla in to win a fight against a high-profile fighter, have her beat Pennington, and then give her Nunes at the end of the year. Like that kind of feels like the trajectory they would like it to go on. Now, I'm not sure that'll happen. I just really question how Holly's going to hold up under that physicality at her age at this point. But I agree on the GTD. Like, I don't think. Like Kayla Harrison's not like an ADCC jiu-jitsu player, and I really don't think she's going to finish Holly via ground and pound. So like I kind of think like even in the worst case scenario where Kayla dominates, Holly probably can control posture and just hang out in half guard and be fine. So yeah, I like the GTD here. What do you think, Lex?
I already broke it down, John.
Fuck me.
That's all right. It's all right.
You're cut off from the wine.
Quick breakdowns from me tonight on there.
I was about to get a beer.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
I might get a beer too.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go get a beer.
All right.
Yeah, go get a beer. I'll get one while you're breaking it down. I'll start this here. All right, next up, Calvin Kattar, Aljamain Sterling. That's a banger of a fight. Current price Sterling minus 170. Comeback on Kattar plus 145. Honestly, when it first got booked, I was like, this is cool. Like, I'm going to get to bet Sterling at like plus 140 or plus 150 against Kattar because everybody's going to bet Kattar because Sterling's going up in weight and fighting a really good anti-grappler. Turns out everybody likes Sterling this week. I did not see that coming. And ironically, at this price, I don't like him at all. I don't know if I'll get there on Kattar because, I mean, Aljo's obviously one of our guys. Like, I've bet him in every fight up until the O'Malley, from the Moraes fight until the O'Malley fight. I bet him in every one of those fights. But if I thought Kattar could cut the cage off a little better, I would bet him here. Like, I think what people get wrong about Aljo is he is an elite grappler when he gets on top of you. Like, Aljo's top game, it's not just from the back. If he gets on top of you, he's going to fuck you up. He's just an excellent grappler. He's not a very good wrestler, though. He's just not. You know, he only has like a 26% takedown accuracy. His shots tend to be a bit lazy. Like, he just kind of tries to overpower guys in the clinch to get most of his takedowns. And I just think that he's going to struggle very much trying to do that to Calvin Kattar here. With that said, one takedown could be a back take in the round in the fight, right? So that's a lot of upside there. And then the other part of this is, if I thought Calvin could cut him off here, I would bet him pretty big. The thing is, you go watch all of Calvin Kattar's career, man. It's like guys that move, he needs you to stand in front of him. If you stand in front of him, he will let his jab go. He'll let his combinations go. He will hurt you. If you don't stand still, though, he just doesn't track guys well. Like, you look at his fight with Arnold Allen. You look at the Max Holloway fight. You look at the Zabit fight. And then you look at Aljo, and he's known for his grappling, but you watch his fight with, like, Henry Cejudo, right? Like, where it's like he outstrikes him by 45 significant strikes over the course of that fight. Pedro Munoz, who I actually think is a pretty great parallel to Calvin Kattar here, because Pedro Munoz, similarly, high-volume guy, but if you don't stand directly in front of Pedro Munoz, it's very easy to just get off free volume on him. And so over 3 rounds, like, Aljo's cardio is more of an issue over 5. Over 3, I don't think it's that big of an issue. And so I wouldn't be shocked, even if he can't get any takedowns, if he just easily outlands him like 150 to 60 over the course of like 15 minutes. So I'm not, at least not yet. I'm still kind of thinking about Kattar, because the other side of that is Aljo's volume is all like jank ass kicks and shit. And like, Kattar's the kind of guy who throws enough heat that like he could get outstruck by 15 strikes in a round and land like 2 to 3 hard headshots and like pull rounds back. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting fight, honestly. And I'm not interested at all on the Aljo side of this price. I'm kind of interested in the Kattar side. It's just the back take upside combined with Aljo just kind of dancing and point striking with him for 15 minutes kind of has me a bit scared. But look, if Aljo hits minus 200, I'll bet Kattar plus 170, like, happily. What do you think, Lags? I'm going to go get a beer as well.
You're good. I think it's a tough one to start off, because honestly, there's not a ton of Kattar grappling footage to go off of, really. So right there, it's like ton of question marks, and then Aljo obviously moving up in weight. But I honestly do think that this 3-round fight suits him much better, just like John had pointed to. I think the grappling, he probably does win round 1 at a high clip. Got the better cardio. I think the volume can compete, even though, yes, he's at a power deficit on the feet. I think the price is probably fine, personally. Even though there's not a ton of grappling footage with Kattar, I think the price is probably fine.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm waffling back and forth on this because, first of all, you have the injury concerns and whatnot, right? So I don't like that. Then you have the fact that you haven't really seen Calvin fight someone like a wrestler of this caliber. You know, not that Aljo's the best wrestler. I can hear your whole breakdown, John. The AirPods are major key. But not that Aljo is the best wrestler. It's just like, if he gets there at all in transition, if the back is there for a half second, he's taking it. And that's the round or the fight. And we just haven't seen Calvin really defend anything like that in a while. So then it goes to, what do I think Aljo is going to do? And there's a couple paths. Like, if he wants to kick at range, I think he can have a lot of success kicking at range. The cardio thing for Aljo in a 3-round fight doesn't really exist. In the 5 rounds is when he starts to have trouble, because he can't go 5 rounds hard. He has to be able to rest out on the back. But for 3 rounds, like if we look at the Munoz fight, he went a crazy pace, just kicking like crazy. He doesn't have to worry about 2 extra rounds, so he can throw a lot. So, I mean, yeah, I was Aljo. I didn't bet it, and I probably should have bet it when the line was tight. I don't really have an interest in playing him, you know, where the line is now. but I get the vision. I lean Aljo. Yeah, I think he's going to kick a bunch from range and try to be opportunistic with a back take. But I don't think he's going to force the grappling unless he's having trouble standing, you know? So, yeah, another pass for me. Sorry, fellas.
No, I'm with you. I am with you. Moving on, though. Banger fight here. Chad, I'll let you start with this one here. We got your boy, Jiri Prochazka. He's taking on Alexander Rakic. Current price, Rakic minus 121. Comeback Prochazka plus 101. What do you think?
I'm talking myself into a Yuri money line play. I already played Yuri scorecards no action at an earlier price, and now that line is gone. I do favor him to finish far more than Rakic. But as I've been like talking it over and then figuring it out, there's just certain things like so Rakic leg kicks and grappling is the idea, right? So it's okay. How does Yuri deal with leg kicks? And we go back to the Pereira fight, and it's just so totally different. There's no tell, there's no sort of wind up, there's nothing. Pereira's leg kicks come in a split second. They come from weird angles. He's probably the best right now at kicking legs. He's incredible at it. It's he dismantled Izzy's legs in both fights, and Izzy's world class. Like people aren't doing that to him. So when you watch him against Yuri actually did okay to start. He was pulling his leg back from a bunch of them, but then Pereira found his, he found his range and was able to kick him a few times. And just a couple did damage. The thing is, Yuri switches stances, and he just kept going. He ended up on top round 1. He was winning on the feet round 2, and that's after having his feet beat up by Pereira, who does far more damage with leg kicks and is far sneakier with them. So then I look at Rakic. Is he going to throw them? Yeah, of course. Is he going to land them? Sure. I think Yuri will be able to avoid most of them. I think the ones that do land, he'll be able to switch stances, and it's not going to compromise him enough to where he can't do the things that he needs to do. I think he's going to put hands on Rakic and have bigger moments and potentially knock him out. And I don't rate the grappling upside, really. Grappling Yuri doesn't tend to go well for people. He works really hard. He's not like technical, but he squirms his ass off, and he'll make you work or he'll get up. And if you're going to waste your time grappling and he gets up, he's going to throw some bombs as soon as he gets up, because that's what he does. And he has big moments. And people call him a meme lord, call him what you want. He knocks people out or has big moments in every fight. So yeah, I'm going to bet Yuri. If the money's going to keep coming on Rakic, I guess I should wait, but I will be on Yuri.
Yeah. So like Yuri's the other guy, like Diego Lopez, who I've just lost like piles of money on, just because I'm like, his game shouldn't work, and it does, and he keeps finishing people. And yeah, I mean, I thought you broke it down well. Like, my concern on the Yuri side is if Rakic actually gets a groove with the leg kicks and or can get takedowns easy, it's like, well, his upside suddenly goes through the roof. But conversely to that, I feel like if Yuri gets in his face, he's going to land heavy. And if Rakic had like more experience, like if he had like 25 or 30 fights or like 15 UFC fights, I'd trust his composure a bit more to like kind of deal with Yuri's pressure. But, we were talking about it in Discord this week, but like, I mean, Devin Clark was able to walk him down and knock him down. Now, that was years ago, obviously, but, we saw Volkan more or less doing the same thing to him. And so I'm not sure he does have the composure to do that. I think he has theoretically more upside than Rakic, than Jiri. But like, I mean, Jiri's been fighting only top 5 guys since he got to the UFC, and it's like Rakic, the best guy he's fought is Jan, and that fight was like 1-1 when he tore his ACL because, I mean, he was struggling to get takedowns there, and Jan is not even a particularly proficient defensive wrestler. So I don't know. I wanted to bet Rakic. I want to bet Rakic, but I also heard today. So I was watching the media day interviews today while I was working, and like he said something like they asked him like, if you win, where does that put you in the title picture? He was like, if I perform like I used to be able to, I think I could be next for a title. And then I heard Narco say something like he saw that
The knee sleeve.
yeah, he's got a knee sleeve on suddenly, and he's talking about like it seemed like a very like particular choice of words that he used. You know, I think used to be able. I was like, am I missing something here? Plus the 2-year layoff. I don't know. I'll probably end up passing it, to be honest. Like again, like I just keep getting torched by Yuri, and it's like I know at some point I can stop losing money on him and just choose to enjoy the samurai. You know, it's
yeah. I kind of follow the same boat with you, John, with like just enjoying the samurai. It's like I've lost a good bit of money on him as well, like fading him, I should say. And it's like if I wish the grappling upside is higher here for Rakic, I just don't really think it is, and I think he's in a ton of danger on the feet.
What were you gonna say, Chad?
I was going to say, so because you made the analog to Lopez or Lopez, whatever, Lopez.
Yeah.
And the game shouldn't work. It's light heavyweight. That's like these are the only divisions that it does work in, and I mean, yeah, he'll lose to some top 5 guys because top 5 guys are the only people that have skill in the division, right? But Yuri could run through probably like 6 to 15. I haven't looked at the rankings in a while, so don't hold me. But it's just what he does. He'll KO most guys. His game is weird. It's stupid. He has his hands down. Even in the Pereira fight, he had his hands down in front of him, and he was moving out of the way of so many of Pereira's shots. I know he got caught getting overzealous, but he has really good distance control, and he knows the range, and he's able to pull out of the way with his fucking hands down, and he was fucking up Pereira on the feet round 2. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, what is Rakic gonna do when Yuri is doing all this crazy shit and moving forward on him? If he can't take him down, yeah, he's gonna try to kick the leg. I said a joke that he's gonna get stumbled off a leg kick and come up with a spinning elbow, and I think it's surprisingly live. So keep an eye out for that.
I don't even think it's a joke, dude. Honestly, yeah. Like it's that's the shit he does. And to your point, it's like even though I think he's a complete technical mess, the guy has like rare athleticism for 205, which kind of in a division where like the best athletes are like B- athletes, being an A athlete goes fucking miles, you know? So
I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just rewatched the Pereira fight for like the 4th time today, and just watching the shit, like he's fighting like someone joking around, like you would joke around with a fan, like doing these feints and uppercuts, kicks, and you're watching, you're like, this is a world-class kickboxer that he's beating cleanly on the feet right now, doing this fucking crazy shit. Rakic is not that. He's not that. So
I am calling him a light heavyweight Tony Ferguson without the BJJ. I feel like is like a great call.
I mean, he choked out Glover. How bad can the BJJ be?
Fuck off.
No hook.
Everybody knows that might be the one fight Mana Library was right about being fixed. Dude, I lost $800 betting with Mana Library on that fight because I got into an argument with him on Spaces, and he's like, "It's definitely fixed." And I was like, "Okay, put your money where your mouth is," and that was painful. But anyway, we move on to probably the biggest favorite of the year in the UFC since the last time he fought. We have Bo Nickal, current price minus. Is he?
Well, because Brundage is the biggest underdog of all time. I think that's what was said at media day. Don't hold me to that. That was what was said today, like when they were talking to media.
Bo Nickal is currently minus 2,300. The comeback on Cody Brundage is plus 1,100. Wags, what do you think of this fight?
Oh, you know it's Bo Nickal season. I mean, there's pretty much no bettable angle. I feel like unless you're betting like starts round 2 pretty much here, but yeah, it's never Cody.
Chad?
I mean, it's sometimes Cody. Listen.
It is sometimes Cody.
First fight it's Cody.
I've cashed Cody the last couple times, baby. I cashed KO1. I've cashed KO. Listen, the man wins. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, depending on how you define, if he's not out of there in 1 minute, he's probably value. I'm not betting him, but god damn, like, is it impossible that?
I mean, you'd say there's like a 4% chance of a DQ, right?
Yeah, could be, right? I mean, if we look at how strategic Brundage is when turtling up, I mean, he might be able to do it again, right? But yeah, like, could he? We have no idea because Nickal hasn't really been hit. Could he? Maybe he has a glass jaw. Maybe Brundage hits him one time and he falls over. Maybe he shoots in and the fucking ghillie is there for what? He gets the ghillie. I'm trying to talk myself into it. Josh.
We could go like 0.2 units on him. Like that's the, I'm with you, and like I don't want. The thing is, I feel like there is going to be a time when Bo Nickal loses a -2,000 where nobody expects it. It's like so often people are like, "Oh, we got to wait for the right fade," and then they drop the ball like Agapova against Shannon Dobson. Everybody waiting for the right fade, and she gets stopped by Shannon Dobson. Now, am I saying that's Cody Brundage? No, because I just don't trust his heart at all. But like you saw the other day, I was arguing with like Evan and Scrap, and like I was like, we don't even know if he's good at MMA, and they were like offended that like I would say that, and like I didn't mean like he doesn't have MMA. He obviously has an incredible base for MMA, an incredible wrestling background. He seems to have good jiu-jitsu. He obviously hits hard. But the guy hasn't fought past 3 minutes in a fight. Like, literally, he's got like 6 pro fights and hasn't fought past 3 minutes. I mean, how often do we see these guys, especially these wrestlers, just melt when they have adversity, Very frequently.
If you watch Bellator every week.
Every week, yeah. And like, I like, who's to say he's not the next Isaac Bulgarian,
You're cutting out a little bit.
Do you hear me, Chad?
I hear you.
Do you hear me now, Lags? Lags?
I think it's on Lags' end.
I think Lags is cutting out.
I can hear you now, but you were lagging. You were lagging a lot there.
But anyway,
all right.
It's just I don't think.
Oh no, it's good now.
I really don't think Cody is the guy, to be honest. I really don't, because like Cody is the epitome of if you show him the door, he will take it. Like he doesn't want adversity.
One fight he didn't take the door. What was the he was getting beat up and he actually turned it around.
Dalcha?
Dalcha.
He kept jumping guillotine.
Dude, I know, but he stayed in it. I bet him there, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's a wrap." He does. He might decide he wants to stick around. Who knows?
I mean, should we bet the sub 1 and just bet on the guillotine hitting?
I might just bet round 1. Like, how wrong can you be? What the fuck is round 1 right now?
I mean, Art C said he got 5,500 on KO1 on Brundage.
KO1. Okay, round
like
1, 30. I have to line shop it like 30 plus 3,300.
That's
how wrong can you be?
Like seriously though, it's like put $50 on it, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm just like, yeah. What'd you say?
I said that's right. I'm above you now, Lags. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm just like I don't want to invest in Cody Brundage here, but it also like you said, how wrong can you really be here? Like it's at some point, it will be profitable to just martingale Bo Nickal.
Sub 1 plus 9,000.
What? Are you shitting me?
No, dude.
Dude, the guillotine is better than 90-1. I will tell you that right now, 100%.
I'm doing my max of $14.
Oh God, what book is it? DraftKings?
It's my FanDuel option because I can't get FanDuel. So it should be around that on FanDuel, I would assume. Sometimes the prices differ a bit.
Dude, if it's that on FanDuel, I'm taking it. That's I'll take it for $25.
Why not?
Like, yeah.
Even if he hurts him, unless he flatlines him, Bo gets rocked. What's he gonna do? Shoot a takedown. What's Cody gonna do? Grab a guillotine. Doesn't matter. I mean, most likely he gets taken down, but
Never know.
what if he gets a guillotine? No,
It could 90 if he attempts 90 guillotines, he is definitely hitting like 2 or 3.
100%.
But you know, that's all you need. That's all you need.
You can probably make money. Yes, I was.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I honestly, Evan said that he liked the over, and I'm like, what if I saw Art C say this too, and he's not wrong. Like, what if he takes Brundage down and he just goes close guard and just holds him there? Like 7.5 minutes for Cody Brundage to just hold on to full guard at plus 250? Why not? Why not us? Anyway, we're moving on. Great fight here. Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan. We're in the thick of it now. Last 4 fights here, all potentially bangers. Current price, Justin Gaethje, minus 158. Comeback on Max. Oh, my God. I'm retarded. Current price, Arman Tsarukyan, minus 210. The comeback on Charles Oliveira is plus 180. What do you think, Chad?
All right. Yeah. So what I think is I like Arman, but I just can't get around to playing that sort of line against Charles Oliveira. He's still so dangerous. I see people pointing out the KO line on Charles and whatnot. And the way I decided to play this was Arman decision plus 340. And the rationale behind it is I don't think Arman is going to be comfortable on the feet. And I think he's going to initiate clinches and try to ride out on top. And if he's taken down Charles without hurting him, like people will point to the Islam subbing Charles. I think Islam's BJJ is significantly better than Arman's. And also he hurt him right before subbing him, right? So rocked him bad, got on top, quick tap, but he knew it was over. I don't think Arman is going to hurt him on the feet. So, like, not that it's impossible, but I think he's going to spend as little time taking risks there as possible. And if he's not taking risks, I just think it's unlikely. So I think he can ride him out on top. If Charles is conscious and he's dangerous, right? So I think Arman's going to stick tight to him when he does get him down, not really posture up at all to throw ground and pound. He's going to stick to him, you know, take little pot shots, but make sure he's controlling him. And the Charles quitting narrative is overblown. You know, he hasn't really done that in a while. He's gone to deeper rounds with guys like Dustin and shit. So you're telling me that Arman decision plus 340, I think it might be down to plus 320, but still plus 3x. It's cool. I could see a late finish Arman.
I don't even think plus 2x would be bad, honestly.
I don't think so either.
It could be a retrospect 50% outcome, you know?
I don't rate his sub game, and yeah, he has some power standing, but he's not going to be comfortable standing. He's not going to be so.
And Charles will flop to his back if he hurts him.
Yes, well, that's the thing too, right? He flops to his back, and I don't think Arman's BJJ is that high level. It would be an ultimate quit job for Arman to sub him. So give me the decision. Worst case, you know, if it's going over and I think he's wilting late, fuck it, you can find a way to enter live with ITD or round 3. I'll see.
Yeah, you figure it out. What do you think, Legs?
I actually like 3 bets on this fight. The over 1.5 rounds.
Oh,
over
spicy.
1.5. Yes, over 1.5 rounds at minus 130. And I got to shout out Pepe here because he was the one that found this book specifically that had these lines. But Unibet has the round 2 and round 3 sub props for Arman at 28-1 and 45-1. And I think those are pretty wild. But just going to have small sprinkles on those and have a unit on the over 1.5.
So I like the decision, and I'll be taking it. I also, honestly, I might not play it at minus 210, but it looks like Oliveira is going to take money. But I honestly think there's value on Arman here. Unless he loses his mind and is like, I'm going to stand and bang with Charles, I think there's value on it. Like Charles, like I bet Charles against Benny, but I felt like Benny, like Charles could match Benny's physical strength and had way more physicality than Benny, whereas I don't think he's anywhere. Like Arman was like, in his first UFC fight on short notice was like matching Islam's physicality. The dude is just built different. He's a fucking silverback who's like 27 years old, clearly on steroids, elite wrestler. And like, I've seen him on top of good BJJ guys. Davi Ramos won an ADCC gold medal, and he got on top of him and held him down, no problem. Joel Alvarez, really strong guard, literally smashed his face in the ground on top of him. I think he would, again, unless he loses his mind and he stands with Charles, if he takes Charles down, I don't think Charles is going to have anything for him on bottom. I don't think Charles will quit, like you said, which is why I like the decision. But I do ultimately think if he fights a smart fight here, he's probably like 80%. Like, you can say all day long, I don't want to be on the other side of like Charles Oliveira at minus 200 or minus 190, but it's like, I mean, I bet Islam at minus 165, and I would have bet him at minus 250 against Charles.
Oh, well, that was generational wealth opportunity.
Yes,
that was my maxiest max bet. We were all circle jerking, and then we were all like, I'm like, okay, but,
dude. Lots of people bet Charles though.
I know, but we were never gonna get Islam at that number again. That was what it
against
was.
Anyone.
No,
literally. But that's kind of how I feel about this. Obviously, Islam is better than Arman, but like, Arman is like, if Islam's tier 1, Arman is like tier 1A, pretty much, in the division, and has a similar skill set. So, yeah, I honestly think if Arman fights the way he always fights, these jiu-jitsu guys, he's going to win this fight with very little problem at a very high clip. So, yeah, Charles is dangerous. I love Charles. We all love Charles. Who doesn't love Charles Oliveira? But Charles Oliveira, if you can take him down and get on top of him and just watch the leg locks, doesn't really have a whole lot for you there. So, and also, Chad, Sean Orr shouting you out as a man of culture. It should be better.
I think he liked what I was drinking. I'm assuming that's why he said it. It's a pretty good beer, actually. I highly recommend, guys. It's like $11 a bottle, but it's very nice.
Big spender. Let's go.
Yeah, geez.
So it's not once in a while.
I'm just over here drinking Trogs.
You can buy a few of those with the. You can buy a couple hundred of those with the Armand decision money.
Oh, I thought you were going to say with the Cody Brundage sub 1.
Oh yeah, we could buy a house in the Hamptons with that. That might be the next play. So
Capper House.
Yeah. Oh, Capper House reality show coming to you 2025. Moving on though. Amazing fight. I am kind of sick of the BMF title gimmick and the fact that we have someone actually defending a BMF title. I think it's a bit ridiculous.
Cringe. Yeah.
It is extremely cringe, but we got Justin Gaethje taking on Max Holloway. Current price has Gaethje minus 158 to come back on Holloway plus 138. Lags, what are your thoughts here?
I honestly think it's a decent fight for Gaethje. Like, I don't like Holloway at 155 pounds. I just don't think he has the power personally. I don't think he can take the shots. And I think the early rounds here, he's going to be in a lot of shit. I think the leg kicks are going to be huge for Gaethje. I think he wins the early rounds at a very high clip. I think it's a good fight for Justin personally. I
kind of agree. It's funny because when I first saw the initial line, Holloway plus 170, I was like, oh my god, I'm betting Max Holloway. This is insane.
A huge
Line's
number,
crazy.
Big volume. Yeah, 5 rounds.
I looked at the fight, and I don't even really care about the Dustin fight that much because obviously Dustin and Justin's game are not like that similar to one another. But I mean, the leg kick thing for one, it's like that is kind of like can be in some cases like a literal I win button, especially in modern MMA. And like we saw, Max Holloway has struggled with calf kicks in the past, and Justin has some of the best calf kicks, maybe the best in the entire UFC. Then you talk about the hardware edge. Like Justin hits way harder than Max Holloway, and Max Holloway is there to get hit. Like we keep hearing about how Max hasn't been knocked down, hasn't been dropped, but like go back to the one time he fought at 55, he got hurt badly 3 times. You eat enough hammers and eventually you go out. And so I mean, Max has better cardio. He's got better volume, but he's fighting. I feel like people are acting like Gaethje has like bad durability and like bad cardio. And it's like Gaethje was beating the ever-loving shit out of Fiziev in round 3 in that fight. Gaethje has gone deep in wars before and looked fine. I feel like Mba's saying Justin's power is overrated. I feel like that seems like a take.
I would have to disagree. Like he hurts.
He's not Francis Ngannou, but yeah, he hurts people at 55.
Well, it's 155. And he's been fighting since pretty much his debut. He's been fighting top guys. Like, it's hard to kill every top guy, but he's killed plenty.
I guess I'm ultimately like, first of all, everybody was talking about Max after the Yair fight, like, oh, Max might be slowing down. And now suddenly it's because he's a dog. Everybody at MMA Twitter is like, oh my God, Max Holloway, he's going to pace Justin Gaethje. Like, who has really come out and paced Justin Gaethje in his career? No one really. And so if you think even there's a slight edge in volume to Max here, well, there's a huge power edge to Gaethje. There's a huge leg kick upside for him. So I feel like that more than like out equals it. Like, I honestly think the Gaethje line now, I don't think I'd play it at the current number, but like, I feel Max moving up to 155, taking on a much bigger hitter who could potentially violate his leg, does not necessarily equate to this being a wide line. I kind of think Justin 60 to 65% is fine here. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't play Max where the line has gone now. I think people that played it at plus 2x, good bet.
That's fine.
It's Max Holloway, right? Like, even if we look at the Dustin fight at 155, he had Dustin in trouble, a couple times. He ate bombs. He got hurt, but in another lifetime, he finishes Dustin there, right? And then everyone's like, "Fucking Max is the 155 guy." I think yes, there is a big power edge for Justin. Obviously,
yeah.
There are the leg kick dynamic as well. And I don't think Max really put on weight for this. He looks the exact same. It's like I'm sort of a weight expert, but he looks the exact same. So I really doubt he made any physical changes. So I expect at best it's going to look like what he did against Dustin at 155, which, don't get me wrong, is good. That's good. So I do think Gaethje takes early rounds here. So I missed plus 2x on Max, but after round 1, maybe I can reevaluate, enter live on Max at good plus money. I did play late round Max props just because the prices were outrageous. When his money line was plus 2 whatever, the late props were crazy. The prices finally moved like yesterday.
There was like a plus 1,200 ITD out there too, which was insane.
1,200? What? I think
that's what Gabe was saying. No, he said his ITD was 1,200 like a week ago.
That's crazy. Because what I bet, I'm just going to pull up so I don't fake news it, but I bet KO 4-5 plus 3,300, submission 4-5 plus 5,500. Just stuff like that. I got a few different bets, not to spread them out to the limits, but I think if Max is getting his fight and he's competing, a late finish is very live on his end. Accumulate some body work, really put it on Justin. I know nobody has paced him really like that, but you're looking at fights that go long. He didn't look. Yeah, I mean, he was tired at the end of the Chandler fight. I mean, that was a war. If Max is really putting it on him early, I think he can get him out of there late, obviously. So I had to take stabs on those late round prices, but I don't have a money line. I don't have anything like crazy. I think be ready for a live entry on this one, boys, because there could be a really good opportunity.
I much bet, like you said, like plus 200 is pretty good. Like at plus 135, I'd much rather wait and see like how it looks early and then get in.
Oh, before I forget. So I was talking about it with someone and we made a joke like fucking round 4, Justin might swing a wild hook tired, fall over and have Max on top of him and get subbed because his BJJ, let's be honest, is a 0.
The worst.
Like
it's the worst.
If Max is on top, I would be like, there's no shock at all if he gets subbed. Max has actually pretty underrated BJJ because he doesn't use it ever anymore.
Yeah.
But if Max is on top, he can absolutely sub Gaethje. And Gaethje just going like, huh, and falling over, which he did against Oliveira, especially late, I think it's particularly live. So that would be my second wacky prediction that might happen.
Most blue belts in the UFC could sub Gaethje, to be honest, if he let them on top of him.
Give me 2 weeks of training, 2 weeks under like, I don't know, whatever the best Gracie alive is.
Bahumpa?
No, best Gracie. Give me a Gracie. 2 weeks, I could sub Gaethje if you put me in like a good starting position. I believe that. Full confidence I could.
They don't train jiu-jitsu with Trevor Whitman. That seemed pretty clear after the Dober fight too. So,
Chad, real quick on the since you are a weight expert and we really didn't talk about this during the Aljo fight. How do you think he looks moving up?
The thing is, like, I gotta see what he looks like as they match. I want to see if he gets mogged. But the thing with Aljo is like he was shredded. He looked big, but what happens a lot of the time when these guys move up, like 10 pounds from 135 to 145 is a significant jump. And even if he was cutting a fair amount of weight to make 135, all those guys at 145 are cutting a large amount of weight to make that. So I got to see how he stacks up. He's very muscular, so he might actually like size up decently, because the more muscle you have, the more water you can cut efficiently. That's why the more muscular guys like Costa and Romero were rehydrating to 218, 220, because it allows you the more muscle you have, the more water that you have in your body and that you can cut, and steroids help as well. Now, Aljo's soft. Let's be honest, he's soft. So he might size up well. I gotta see him. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks very on par with Calvin, you know?
Yeah, we'll see. That was a good question, Lugs. Moving on, we got the co-main event. It's the battle for China. It's the biggest battle for China since Genghis Khan against the Ming Dynasty. We got Weili Zhang, the current champion. She's taking on Yan Xiaonan. Current line, Zhang is turbo chalk, minus 510. Comeback on Yan, plus 385. I don't have any strong opinion on the money line here. I've heard some people I respect talk about liking the onside. But, like, at the end of the day, and you're going to hear it everywhere, like, I'm just not going to buy into the idea that Jan's improved her grappling. Like, her last 5 take times she's been taken down there have been multiple 10-8s, she's been finished, and 2 borderline 10-8s. So, like, I mean, maybe at 34 years old, she suddenly leveled up from an F on the mat to being like a C. I doubt it, but maybe. But yeah, I mean, look, if they stand, it's probably a competitive fight. I think it is very unlikely for Zhang, who has been fighting to a game plan almost every fight recently, to give her that chance, though. So, like, I think the line is fine. Honestly, what I really like here, though, because if they do stand, I think they both pack heat and they can both be hit. I think KO is live. But I think if Zhang gets on top of her consistently, she's eventually going to finish. I like the under 4.5 at minus 125, a fair amount here. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah. You won't catch me betting a minus 500 WMA favorite. That being said, yeah, I mean, I get it, because it's the path, right? If she wants to grapple, she has the path to basically cover that number. And I mean, it's joked about every time that she fights, but she almost armbarred herself. Yan. Like, every time I watch that, I'm in awe. Like, she actually hyperextends her arm and hurts herself. She armbarred herself. So the way I break it down is when someone has a big grappling edge like that, and I think they're likely to spend a lot of time on top, a positional TKO is always possible. But if you look at the number for sub and it's wide, I bet sub. The sub was hanging for a while, and it moved now. I bet sub at at plus 700. So I just, that was the price. She's going to spend a lot of time on top. I hope it's not a crucifix ground and pound. I think that's live as well. But, otherwise, I think it can happen 2, 3, 4. She subs her, and, we call it a day. No interest in money lines. But I think the under is value, too. I might end up on that because if she's on top, I think she finishes. If she's not, either one can KO the other one standing, which is rare for WMMA. So I get it. That's probably a generous price for the under, honestly.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think, Lex?
I just have too much PTSD from betting Zhang ITD against Lemos in pretty much a similar spot at a similar price. And it's like, probably could have came home. And again, probably was a good bet at the price, but tough.
Lemos at least does jiu-jitsu, though, you know? Like, Carla's my girl, don't get me wrong, but she doesn't do anybody like she did Jan on the mat. Like, that was crazy, you know?
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. It was great. That was a wealth transfer event. It was beautiful.
Sorry, I see a very distracting comment by Ochio over there. And
is it the Whaley is the hottest in WMMA? Should we get into this? Yeah. Should we break it down?
I think we can. Listen. I've had one large bottle of beer. I should get another one. We can definitely get into this. I'm more than happy.
First of all, who's the hottest in this fight? Let's start there.
That's what I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
Take it away, fellas.
No, Chad, you're the guest. Now you're starting here.
Oh, shit. Well, hold on now. I might need to refresh my Yan game because
I will tell you the Tapology picture of Yan looks better.
Right. But I wanted. That's why I wanted to pull up the Instagram because, like, that doesn't count. Like, how the fuck do you spell her last name? Yan.
Xiaonan. Xiao.
Yeah. That was it. All right, here we go. I'll pull up the Instagram because I know what Wei Li looks like.
A dude.
I mean, no, dude. Yeah, it's got to be Wei. Wei Li's cute. Like Wei Li's cuter than her for sure.
I mean, Wei Li's cute like my 4-year-old son is cute though.
Well, easy now. Don't be throwing around those Sean Orr type allegations. No, this fight's easy, dude. It's got to be Wei Li.
Wow.
You know, Ocho is wilded.
Wow.
Now, what about the full UFC though? If we were to break it down a little further here, full UFC, one name.
You know, the first, because of our conversation earlier today, the first name that came to mind was Miranda Maverick. We were talking about it today. Come on,
we were.
Danny.
I'll say it. I'll say it right here. On the podcast right here. I would fuck Kayla Harrison over Miranda Maverick. That's the hot take. Hands are up. Hands are up. That's the hot take.
That is shameful.
I can't believe you volunteered it. I was going to force it out.
All right, Chad. How about Chad? Let me ask you this: in that fight alone, Kayla or Holly, who would you rather?
Holly.
Yeah. Holly's got an okay ass.
The preacher's daughter? Come on, now.
Really?
I'm not.
No. Lex, what do you like a muscle mommy? What's the vision here?
No. I'm just saying between Maverick and Kayla, I don't think Maverick's that great looking personally.
What does the girl that you ditched Atlantic City look like for? Like, what?
She is no muscle mommy. I promise you.
Hold on here. Hold on. This is what we're doing, Legs?
Mbe is confirming here Kayla greater than Maverick.
She likes Andrade though too, so
no. That women cannot be trusted.
I agree.
They cannot.
I agree completely.
Kayla, Sean Shirk, and Carnett. Yeah.
All right, one name, Chad. One name, and then we move to the main event.
Oh, that's hard. Like off the top, one girl. Like, fuck. I'd have to like
Nunes.
Go through the. What's that?
I said Nunes.
Which one?
Amanda?
Wow.
No.
Josiane?
Wow. That this got dark. This got real dark. I actually don't even know what I would say. I'd probably just go Morose since we all know she looks like naked and know it's a fairly safe bet, but you know.
Yeah. I know what any WMA fighter that does OnlyFans looks like naked, so I mean, I was partial to Kay Hansen when she was around. I mean, I like that.
Yeah, not bad. You could even say Eileen Perez just for the dirty game.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a naughty girl, but I don't. The pumpkin picture that
was funny.
That was crazy.
But anyway, we'll move on.
Oh.
Yeah, this is we got the main event. Alex Pereira taking on the former, but also kind of still returning champion. This is more or less a unification bout. Oh, Tristan's got it. Amory might be it. Honestly, that's probably
Well, Dixon's side was he's saying Kay. I know she's on
Kay Hansen. All right,
I've seen her get fucked with a butt plug in. Like, I'll message to you after, John. I got you.
All right. Anyway, Jamahal Hill, Alex Pereira. Chad, I'll start with you. I know you have a strong take here.
Yeah, I do.
Hold on. Price first. Current price. Pereira minus 132. Come back on Hill plus 112.
Yeah, so I'm not that crazy different of a price. I bet Hill at plus 120. So my thoughts on it are pretty simple. I'm a big fan of Hill. His I know he looks like shit. Yeah, he's fat belly. He's he makes jokes, but when it comes down to it, he's got elite volume, elite cardio, elite power. There's no disputing any of those points. His output is very good. His cardio, like if you looked at him and had to guess what his cardio would like, you'd be so far off. Incredible cardio. So I look at that and I look at Pereira. And Pereira, very good power, sure. Touch of death. He's got the leg kicks, which are the biggest concern. I just think extended, who does it favor? Jamahal Hill. I think his volume, cardio is going to be better than Alex. Okay. If it's ending quickly, it's a dick measuring contest. Pereira can KO anyone, sure. So can Hill. And Hill's chin is better. He comes from weird angles. I think if they swing dicks, it's more likely Alex goes unconscious than Hill. Not by a wide margin, but I do think that's more likely. The main concern would be leg kicks at range. And I just expect Hill to somewhat have a plan for that. And, maybe eats a few, maybe he gets his leg chewed up and that's it. But I just think at plus money, you're giving me the guy that I trust to win the later rounds, that I think has the better chin, that I trust his output more. And I'm getting plus money on him. And injury concern, whatever, you got to assume that he wouldn't have taken the fight if he wasn't going to be able to perform. Maybe he's not 100%, but I don't think he'd take it at 50, There's calculated risk. Maybe he's 85, 90%. So give me Jamahal Hill. I think he's going to knock him out round 2, round 3. And, I think Hill is going to be champ for quite some time at light heavyweight. I really like his game. So I'm on that money line side. And, let's get it. I got some futures on him at to be champ end of the year at plus 1,200. So I'm really hoping it happens.
Oh, there you go.
What do you got, Lags?
So to pair the somewhat squarish take we had earlier with Moicano and Turner, I think this fight ends inside the distance at a very high clip as well. And the fight to not start round 5 is minus 280. That parlayed with the under 2.5 rounds in the Moicano fight, minus 280, minus 119 for that parlay to win 2 units. Yeah, I think this fight is going to likely be a car crash. I think you guys are going to be standing. I don't think Pereira has the greatest defense, as Chad pointed to. Cardio, volume upside for Hill, massive. Durability, he doesn't, I'm not going to say he has elite durability, but definitely better durability than Pereira here. I just like the under. I mean, I think even like the under 2.5 at almost pick 'em, I think that's probably good. I think they're probably just going to swing heat standing.
Yeah, I lean Pereira. Not enough to bet him at minus 132. So there's a couple things. All things being equal, I probably wouldn't even have a strong opinion. It would be like, whatever. But the Hill injury to me is a huge deal. Like I've seen people say he got cleared by Kobe Bryant's doctor. Well, does anybody remember what happened when Kobe came back from that torn Achilles? Dude was never the same player again in his career. The reality is most high-level professional athletes who tear their Achilles are never the same again, especially in their 30s. So that feels like pretty relevant to me, especially 9 months after. Like it took Kevin Durant 16 months to come back from this. Kevin Durant's a way better athlete than Jamahal Hill is. So that's a huge concern. The other thing on the Hill side is like I honestly like agree with most of both of your points. Like I do think Hill's got better cardio. I trust his work rate a bit more. I I trust his durability a bit more. But the reality is he also has had I don't want to say he's had a soft strength of schedule, but it's like he beat Glover at 42 in basically a retirement fight. Thiago Santos, maybe not a retirement fight, but Thiago Santos has more or less been retired for 3 years. Johnny Walker knocked him out round 1. Jimmy Crute, who is now retired, he's had a very, very friendly strength of schedule on the way up here. Whereas Pereira, whatever you want to say about the guy, the dude beat Izzy Adesanya in one kickboxing match, was up on the cards when he lost the next. He knocked out Sean Strickland. He beat Jiri. He beat Jan. Now, he's got his flaws. I don't really trust his cardio that much. I think if you get inside on him, he is pretty hittable. And I don't really trust his durability that much. But I do think he's the better kickboxer. I think leg kicks can be a problem. And I think Hill, when he throws his jab, is pretty susceptible to being countered over the top of it. So it's like, on the one hand, I have Pereira, who I rate what he's done quite a bit more than Jamahal Hill. On the other hand, you have Jamahal Hill, and it's like, I think he's got better durability. I think he's got better cardio, but he's fought worse competition, and he's coming off like one of the worst injuries you could possibly have 9 months later. I lean Pereira, but the reason I don't want to bet him here is I noticed one of the big leaks I've had in my game over like the last year has been like betting against hardware. Like that shit, almost every bad bet I've made has been a bet against hardware and not betting against the guy with durability and cardio in like a striking match. And that feels like what this is, because like I do think the reality is I think Pereira, all things being equal, is a better technical striker. But I also watched Jamahal Hill eat like 30 bombs to the head from Thiago Santos and basically just seem totally unaffected by them, whereas I've seen Pereira hurt and dropped many times now, even dating back to his kickboxing days. So I do think if Hill can, if his athleticism isn't completely compromised, he can potentially hang in there. And to Chad's point, maybe lose exchanges, but ultimately end up winning the fight just because he can take shots better and he's got better cardio. And I don't really want to fade that dynamic. I'd probably take Pereira at like minus 110, but short of that, like it's a great main event. I'm kind of happy just to watch it, to be honest. Like I don't need to trust 36-year-old Alex Pereira to, eat a shot, to be able to have his chin hold up. You guys got anything else here?
I was going to say that's kind of how I feel about the Gaethje Holloway fight. I think it's a great fight to sit back and watch.
I feel similarly.
I think like Hill. I think that Pereira is kind of like KO or bust, not in the traditional sense because it could happen, I guess, extended too. But I think at a low percentage. I think he probably needs to KO him in the first round or two, or he's going to lose the fight. I think extended, he's getting. I don't think it gets extended, to be honest. I think he's getting brutally knocked out. Not just out of my bias, but I do think this ends with Alex like brutally unconscious, and everyone like, holy shit, Jamahal Hill. Not that Jamahal Hill can't lose, but that's just the way I see it going more often than not.
Like I lean the other way, but it's also just like, their trajectories are so different. Pereira is almost 37 years old and clearly towards the end of his MMA career, whereas if Hill is fully recovered, he's on the way up. And today, when we had the conversation about the leg kicks with Jiri, I rewatched the fight this afternoon, and like, it is a bit concerning. I know Jiri's a samurai, all that shit. It's a bit concerning to me how easy his blitzes were getting home on Pereira. Because if those were getting home, Hill's probably going to be able to get home at some point with something. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll probably pass unless the line crashes, in which case I'll bet Pereira. But I don't feel super strong. But yeah, guys, that'll do it. Big shout out to Chad for coming out here, guys. Follow him on Twitter at MMAGigachad and all the streams he does with the Fight Numbers boys. They are always hilarious. Chad's the man. Chad, anything else you want to shout out while you're on here?
No, follow me. Fuck Fight Numbers. They didn't send me a
yeah, guys. As always, follow me on Twitter at MMA Fox, Lags at Danny_Lags. please drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, good luck on your bets this weekend. Hope everybody enjoys the card. Oh, Narco will not be in his paid Discord this weekend. So me, Sean, and Tim, the inmates, are running the asylum. We might even let Chad on stage if you want to join that Discord. You're not a part of it. It's going to be pretty fun. So stop in, guys. Anyway, thanks for coming out. Have a good one. Peace.